Hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed video. Welcome also to the year 2022. I hope it's been good to you so far. Weather-wise here in the northeast, it's been calm, sunny, very mild, with temperatures in the teens, which for late December, early January is quite remarkable. And altogether jolly spiffing. I mean, normally I wouldn't be here at this time of year under normal circumstances. I'd be off travelling, and hence you wouldn't hear much from me for sort of December, January onwards. But here I am doing a New Year video. And the reason for this one is the Royal Horticultural Society have predicted that this year, 2022, will be the year of the scythe. It will be the go-to tool for 2022. Now, bless them, the Royal Horticultural Society have generally been 10 to 15 years behind the rest of the world when it comes to what's going on in horticultural trends. But it's great that they've said this, because myself and my sort of fellow scythers across the country are all excited about the fact that training courses and scythe demand, tool supply, will continue to increase, which it has done year on year for the past 20 years. I mean, I've seen the number of people booking training courses with me has gone up year on year for the past 10 years or so. And the attendance at events has always just gone up and up and up. Last year I attended the Scottish Scything Festival near Perth, and 80 odd people bought new scythe kits and then came to me to have a go at using them. And I was flat out the whole day trying to give people one-to-one sort of tuition and guidelines on using a scythe. And that's just in a one-day event. More than 80 people bought scythes. I was exhausted and it was red hot. It was a hell of a day. But anyway, so back to the RHS. Now, the press and the media picked up on this, and most newspapers just pretty much copied and pasted what the RHS had put in their article. They also predicted other things. But one newspaper decided that they would employ one of their journalists to write an article about this, about scythes in particular. Now, I've always said there's nothing I like more than somebody with no qualifications or experience in my line of work coming and telling me that I'm doing it wrong. And I'm sure anybody watching this would think, yeah, if somebody turned up at my place of work and had no idea what was going on, but then decided to tell me I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be pretty cheesed off as well. So the journalist that they chose to write an article about scything, and I'm going to read it through for you, is called William Sitwell. And there's a splendid picture of William Sitwell sitting well on a ride-on mower outside a large house with a fairly impressive looking wisteria on the wall, but the grass looks shocking. It's supposed to be a lawn and it looks dreadful. And it turns out when you look at what William Sitwell does for the Telegraph, he's a food critic. He goes into restaurants and eats, and then again gives his opinion on the food. He's not even a qualified chef. So again, I reckon chefs must love this guy. even if he gives a good review, it's like, yeah, thanks, you thought the food was tasty. 90% of the customers that come in here think the food's tasty, but they don't get paid for expressing their opinions. And that's another bugbear of mine, is that people who think their opinions are worth them getting paid to express, I would argue that that's actually not a valid way of earning a living. But there you go. So let's get to William Sitwell's article, which again is opinion based because the chap obviously has no experience or knowledge of scything. Here we go. Scythes are back, but no one is cutting the bond between me and my mower. If you don't have the muscles of Poldark, and let's be honest, who does, then it's pretty obvious why scythes belong in our past. I remember the moment clearly. 9 months ago, as we packed up and left our old family home, I took a last look in one of the garden sheds. I'd removed pitchforks and spades, trowels and hoes, and I'd loaded the mowers onto the lorry which was to take our garden furniture, large potted plants and other equipment down to our new home in Somerset. There were few items left in there which the clearance team would take, that we'd add to the bonfire or leave for the new owners. An old cupboard used for storing paints, weed killer and slug pellets, some knackered old netting and a bust garden gate. Oh yes, and 2 ancient looking scythes. They had long wooden handles and curled rusting blades. I had plenty of plans for our new life in the southwest, but reenacting an iconic moment in Poldark, that swashbuckling series now best known for its star Aidan Turner shirtlessly wielding a scythe, was not on my mind. Yet perhaps it should have been, as the Royal Horticultural Society had just announced that in 2022 the scythe will become a must-have item for British gardeners. Of course, right now Britain's gardeners have fewer jobs in the garden. Leaves are being swept, some bushes are being trimmed, but otherwise our green spaces lie dormant. Our tools are resting in the outhouses and garages. Our mowers are hibernating. As winter approaches, the keen gardener ponders on next year's plans, but horticultural simpletons like me ponder when mowy time might start again. That marvellous moment in the year when we can fire up the engines, pop onto our ride-ons and temper wild grass into lawn. Yes, we will bring straight lines to nature's ragged chaos. Blissfully lose ourselves in the din of the engine, unable to hear the harking of our loved ones as we settle into the calm, restorative rhythm of mowing. Increasingly often, our mowy haven is attacked. Earlier this year, we had to dodge bullets from Monty Don, who claimed mowing was the most injurious thing you can do to wildlife, as well as burning fossil fuel and making a filthy noise, and artillery fire from the government as a new E10 petrol threatened to render our old petrol-powered mowers defunct. And now, as I peruse and pat my lawn ordering machines as they rest, a Flymo, a 3-cylinder Ransom, a John Deere Ride-On and a Cobra 135cc self-propelled mower, I'm shuddering at this new threat, mow shaming. Doubtless our millennial kids, nephews and nieces will eye us with contempt at the Christmas table when they realise they are in the presence of a mower man, a Neanderthal, petrol-guzzling ice cap melter who, from spring to autumn, seeks refuge in a fossil fuel-burning world of selfish polluting. They may have a point, but mower loyalists like me aren't about to betray our eco-unfriendly friends in the shed. The RHS insists that the scythe is not such a crazy, impossible tool to use. Scything is easier than a mower on a wildflower patch and minimises the need for petrol or diesel-powered tools, goes their statement. And Guy Barter, chief horticulturalist at the RHS, says he's offering training. I mean, just imagine the physique I can look forward to, with my legs gloriously muscle-bound from my peloton. Once I'm busy scything, my upper body will be a vision of six-pack athleticism. I highly doubt that. Barter says that if you sharpen the blade well, they work very well once you've got the knack. Well, this is true. Oh yes, I can see myself gliding through the meadows, swishing that scythe in long arcs from side to side, cutting the long grass that I can store as hay for the hens, nesting boxes, or simply lie on at the end of the day as I, topless and tanned, lie down in the setting sun for a cool cider and a snooze. Perhaps I should call the new owners of our old home, or phone the auction house and track down those ancient elegant tools. Or perhaps I should tell every scythe-loving jester to buzz off. I'm more likely to learn to surf than scythe, to take up basket weaving or skydiving, and I can't say any of the above appeal. We jettisoned the scythe in good name of progress, a faster, more efficient, precise and straight-lined mowing. My mowers need me and I need them, and frankly, with the NHS under pressure, the last thing it needs, come April, is queues of middle-aged men sitting in casualty, brooding and bandaged up after getting carried away with rudimentary garden tools. So that's the article in whole. I'm now going to go through it again and just pick up on a few of his points to address. Okay, so the first thing is, he never mentions women in the entire article. It's all men, 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 him being a man, a restaurant critic, men, men, men. The amount of women who are involved in scything is astronomical, like masses of them. And I do believe the current national champion, Andy Rickard, is a lady Andy, okay? And she mows like a demon. It's incredible to watch. YouTube, that I might actually, if I can figure it out, put a link to one of her scything videos in. But you do not need the muscles of Poldark to wield a scythe. They weigh about 3 kilograms. It's nothing. And all you're doing is swaying back and forwards. Again, watch any of my scything videos to see. I mean, I've had people walk past me and say, "Ooh, that looks like hard work." Really? If I'm making it look like hard work, I think I'm doing it wrong. Because, believe me, it is blissfully easy. And there is no strength involved at all. You do not need muscles. You need to be relatively fit. But with regular scything, you will become much fitter because it's a physically active pastime. Okay. So you don't have to have the muscles of Poldark, but let's be honest, who does? And it's pretty obvious why scythes belong in our past. As I've said earlier, scythes are becoming massively popular, and not just amongst the landed gentry relying on gangs of itinerant scythers turning up to mow their stately lawns. I'm talking about amongst the general public. People are starting to use scythes. Conservation charities, friends of groups, smallholders, farmers even going back to scything. Not for acres and acres of land, but then again, if you've got acres and acres of land and you want to mow it in the most eco-friendly way, get a bunch of mates down who are good scythers and spend a day, couple of days, make a weekend of it. It doesn't all have to be done in one go. You can come back every few weeks, So he goes on, blah, 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 knackered in the shed, moving to the southwest, blah, blah, blah. Okay, right now, so he's talking about in the winter, leaves are being swept, bushes are being trimmed, gardens lie dormant. Our mowers are hibernating. As winter approaches, the keen gardener ponders on next year's plans, but horticultural simpletons like me, well, no argument from me on that. Ponder when mowing time might start again. That marvellous moment in the year when we can fire up the engines, pop onto our ride-ons and temper wild grass into lawn. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? He's just a petrol head and you can't get through to them. Fire up the engines. Like, that's a good thing. Pop onto our ride-ons. Okay. Something I've always said is it seems that the people with the biggest gardens, i.e. the ones who require a ride-on mower, have the least imagination. There are places near to me where there's huge detached houses with great big wraparound gardens, and they are the most boring, unimaginative gardens you've ever seen. Just bland expanses of mown grass. And you think, God, you've got all this space and that's all you can think to do with it. You should just move out and buy an apartment where you don't have a garden at all and give that house to somebody who can actually make good use of the garden. But yeah, pop on my ride-on mower. Oh, God. And temper wild grass into lawn. Boring! Come on, that's the best you can do. Yes, we will bring straight lines to nature's raggedy chaos. Really? Nature's raggedy chaos. Blissfully lose ourselves in the din of the engine, unable to hear the harking of our loved ones as we settle into the calm, restorative rhythm of mowing. What? Behind the din of an engine? What you want about? If you want to see restorative rhythm of mowing, watch a scything video. And bring straight lines to nature's raggedy chaos. What, you think nature's not doing it right? What an idiot. Increasingly often our mowy haven is attacked. Earlier this year we had to dodge bullets from Monty Don, who claimed mowing was the most injurious thing you can do to wildlife. Well, what, you're going to argue with that? It is. It is the worst thing you can do to wildlife, as well as burning fossil fuel and making a filthy noise. Yeah, who wants to stand next to a mower? The ride-on ones, you should be wearing ear defenders. All the local authorities and big landscapers give their staff ear defenders when they're using ride-on mowers. The reason is they're horrendously loud. And artillery fire from the government as a new E10 petrol threatened to render our old petrol mowers defunct. Well, mowers and garden machinery, chainsaws, brush cutters, trimmers, hedge cutters, are not regulated when it comes to emissions. And it's now a known fact that lawnmowers are the most polluting machines out there. Most diesel vans pollute less than a large petrol-powered mower because there's no kind of catalytic converter or any kind of filtration system on a mower engine. It's just belching out horrendous fumes. So, to think that it's a good thing to be producing all this noise and all this atmospheric pollution, I mean, I'm not going to sort of get on a rant about man creating climate change, whether we are or whether we aren't, but we're just belching out massive amounts of fuel into the atmosphere. And it's obvious that that isn't good for either our health or the health of the planet as a whole. So for this guy to be trying to defend it, it's just a bloody nonsense. An E10 petrol, what's the problem with that? A cleaner fuel. Ooh, how horrible. What an awful thought. And then he goes on to list what he's got. A fly mower. What an amateur. A fly mower. Oh, dear me. A 3-cylinder Ransom. Quality mower, the Ransom. Very good blades. A John Deere Ride-On, that's the one he's in the picture of, which I'll put in this. You see the state of the grass. And a Cobra 135cc self-propelled mower. It's just another push along with a clutch, isn't it? Belching out fumes. And you've got to wonder why he has 1, 2, 3, 4 different mowers. I bet he's got a strimmer as well. You could just guarantee he's scattering bits of plastic all over the place, can't you? So mower shaming, yeah, why not? Doubtless our millennial kids, nephews and nieces will eyes with contempt at the Christmas table because you're a Neanderthal petrol-guzzling ice-cap melter who from spring to autumn seeks refuge in a fossil fuel-burning world of selfish polluting. They may have a point. Yes, they do have a point. Not they may have a point, they do have a point. But mower loyalists like me aren't about to betray our eco and friendly friends in the shed. The RHS insists that the scythe is not such a crazy impossible tool to use. Well, it isn't. Scything is easier than a mower on wildflower patches and minimises the need for petrol or diesel powered tools. I'd be surprised if there are any diesel powered mowing tools. That's got to be a hell of a mower. And they're offering training. I mean, just imagine the physique I can look forward to. Well, yeah, mate. Having seen the photograph of you, you need to consider improving it. Because honestly, you're rapidly going down the short, fat, bald and blind route of gentleman's maturity. With my legs gloriously muscle-bound from my Peloton, well, not if you sit on a mower every bloody weekend. Once I'm busy scything, my upper body will be a vision of six-pack athleticism. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how much grass you've got to cut. And why would you want to cut it all anyway? And Bartley says once you sharpen the blade well, they work very well once you've got the knack. Well, yeah, it's true. The 3 rules of scything are being well trained and showing how to use it properly, keeping it sharp, posture and technique. That's it. Oh yes, I can see myself gliding through the meadow, swishing that scythe in long arcs from side to side, cutting the long grass that I can store as hay for the hens, nesting boxes, or simply lying at the end of the day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, you're not making it sound bad. That actually sounds quite nice. Perhaps I should call the new owners of our old home or phone the auction house, track down those elegant tools. Or perhaps I should tell every scythe-loving jester to buzz off. I'm more likely to learn to surf than scythe, to take up basket weaving or skydiving, and I can't say any of the above appeal. Well, surfing, no, because that involves the sea, and that's full of sharks, so I wouldn't go there either. Basket weaving. I've got a friend who basket weaves. She makes some pretty good stuff. And I went to a basket weaving museum in the North Netherlands, which I know sounds as dull as dishwater, but believe me, it was fascinating. The place had been a college where people used to go and learn to basket weave for like 3 years or something. And the stuff they turned out was amazing. There was a car covered in, like all the body panels were covered in basketry stuff. It was fab. Anyway, And skydiving, well, that's just idiotic, isn't it? Yeah, but to be honest, I think more people are learning to scythe than they are learning to surf or basket weave or skydive. If the Scottish Scything Festival is anything to go by. And his last paragraph, we jettisoned the scythe in the good name of progress, of faster, more efficient, precise and straight-lined mowing. Yes, faster, because if there's anything that should be done quickly, it's mowing lawns. My mowers need me and I need them, really. And frankly, with the NHS under pressure, the last thing it needs come April is queues of middle-aged men sitting in casualty, brooding and bandaged, after getting carried away with rudimentary garden tools. Now, in all the years I've been teaching scything, which is approaching 15 years now, I have had one person nick their finger while cleaning a blade. One out of hundreds of people that I've taught over the years. Yeah. The safe distance between scythe operators is 3 meters, so there's no way you can injure yourself or anybody else. You can't injure yourself while you're mowing. You'd have to be a contortionist. The blade is nowhere near your feet. It's about 1 meter away. The only chances of cuts and grazes and scratches is when you're doing anything with the blade itself. So that's just an absolute nonsense. One of my garden customers is a microsurgeon at a hospital in Newcastle. And they say that injuries come in seasonal waves. Winter are chainsaw accidents. And I would imagine that's not qualified tree surgeons. I would imagine it's people who are going into DIY stores and picking up chainsaws off the shelf, not buying any of the relevant PPE, you know, chainsaw pants and boots and a helmet and goggles and stuff, ear defenders, and they're just taking chunks out of themselves because they have no idea what they're doing. The day that chainsaws became available, like guns in America, to just walk in and pick off the shelf or walk out, well, pay for, and walk out again, was like a nightmare for the NHS. Casualty departments through the winter fill up with people who've bought chainsaws off the shelf and haven't gone through any training. Spring and summer is lawnmower accidents. People taking their ends off fingers, cleaning out lawnmowers whilst they're still plugged in or running or whatever. I very much doubt there have been any records of scythe injuries in the last 15, 20 years. Summer months, and this again is from my friend the microsurgeon, summer months, motorbike accidents. The sun comes out, fair weather, and middle-aged men and women are whipping up and down country lanes, again creating unnecessary amounts of noise. And in fact, I think motorbikers or bikers are also referred to in the medical profession as donors. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video here. I do hope you've enjoyed it. We're fast approaching 30 minutes. Thank you for watching. It's been a bit of a rant, but I just feel that people who are not qualified to write or talk about certain subjects shouldn't be employed to write or talk about those subjects. There's a certain amount of stick to what you know as being relevant there. But you know, never be afraid of change. But if you're going to talk about something, you should know about it first. So, what's his name again? William Sitwell. Actually become qualified at something before you talk about it. If you've enjoyed that and you scan through some of my other videos, please click like and possibly give the subscribe button a gentle massage. And then just walk away from it and leave it lying face down on the bench for hours. See you in the next one. Hopefully it won't be too long.